P, how far now?
Well,
How today?
thank God.
Thank God. So like, how road doing the come work today?
Go slow too much.
Eh?
Too much.
For which side?
From my bed to this place, go slow too much.
Okay. You know, say Lagos road don't dey too tight.
Too much.
Population too much.
Yes, sir.
Person full ground.
Ah,
No road.
for where?
That's so, that's so. So, P, waiting be this thing where you go for here?
Now, all.
Now oil.
Yes.
So this oil now, waiting them they take and do.
So, carry from to potatoes, jam, I beat it through.
Okay. Fried potato, fry yam,
Yes.
and cook stew.
Yes.
So like you may they cook.
Yes.
If you they cook, you they use this kind of oil.
Yes, sir.
So like when you like this oil,
Too much. Everybody for Lagos, use am.
everybody they use that.
Yes.
Okay. So like if you use this oil, man, the food go taste normal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about something like this red oil?
Now, the same thing.
And the same thing.
Yes.
But like which one you like pass?
That two of them don't pass everything. Yes.
Okay. So you like the red oil, you like this one?
Yes.
Same.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. But if person they eat fry something every time, how that thing go there for body?
No every day.
Not be every day.
No.
Okay. Like fried potato, fry yam,
Yeah.
fried chicken.
Yes.
Okay. So fry no dey too good like that.
Not too much.
Okay. Oh, hello, my name is Ezenwa Ngbenu and I'm the founder of Creative Juices, and this is
Boy.
Paul Emmanuel.
Yes.
Paul is an investigator at the Biafra Medical Institute, and the topic of this discussion is vegetable oils and the health effects of vegetable oils. So let's get into it. Vegetable oils are a fairly modern food, coming into the scene around the 1920s by virtue of certain technologies that made it possible to extract the oil from certain substances that they weren't previously able to extract the oils from. For example, corn, soybean, cottonseed. So it's a fairly recent food, and from the 1920s up until the modern times, the amount of vegetable oils that we have eaten has really skyrocketed. So vegetable oils is not an ancestral food. Ancestral cooking oils are typically the tropical oils like coconut oil, palm kernel oil. Vegetable oil is a generic term. It covers many types of oil derived from many substances, both corn, soybean, cottonseed, rapeseed, which is also called canola, and a couple others, safflower, sunflower possibly. But the major source of this oil is soybean oil. Paul, this thing what they call vegetable oil, well, I think that thing is
That one, too much. Every Calabar people go chop that one.
Okay. Okay. So, vegetable oils are not an ancestral food. They are a fairly modern creation, and there exists a very striking correlation. Vegetable oils came on the scene in the 1920s. Prior to the 1920s, let's say from the 1900s to 1910, in the United States, heart disease was almost non-existent in that period. And they ate a lot of saturated fats and a lot of cholesterol-containing foods. They ate a lot of lard, that is pig fat, a lot of tallow, beef fat. They ate a lot of butter, milk, whole milk, things of that sort. Very fatty foods. But heart disease was non-existent. But after the introduction of vegetable oils in the 1920s, from the 1920s to 1950, in the US, heart disease went from non-existent to being the #1 killer. Whereas in 1960, there were almost 500,000 deaths from heart attacks, from a very low base to this high amount. So from the 1960s to present, this trajectory has only continued. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the developed world, and there exists a striking correlation, but correlation is not necessarily causation. So vegetable oils is not the only player in this emergence of heart disease, but in this talk I would like to explore some ways in which vegetable oil definitely contributes. So there is a basis for saying that vegetable oils becoming a staple food is a major driver in heart disease epidemic, and not only heart disease but various chronic disease states. So Paul, some people don't find out, say this thing no dey too good for body. Wait till if you talk now.
To me, because you go chop this one. You go balance well. But no every day you go chop am because
see this white thing wey dey for the down, wey dey thick or something like that. See how the thing dey this color here, this thing dey this color here. Wetin that one come mean?
after you don't shake am, you go shake am,
everything go just turn into one something.
Yes.
Enter one.
Right. Yes. Everybody go chop am well. The other one don't go down, this one go come.
Okay. Okay. So the negative health effects of vegetable oils. First of all, when you have these highly liquid vegetable oils, also called polyunsaturated fats, that is soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, rapeseed oil, canola oil, all these oils, what they share in common is that they go rancid very quickly. Once they're extracted from the context of the whole food, that is, soybean oil comes from soybean and it exists within the soybean itself, where it's protected by association with other proteins, carbohydrates, antioxidants, minerals, and other substances. When you extract the oil, and the oil is now on its own, if it's exposed to the air, without that protective casing, these polyunsaturated fats, these highly liquid oils, go rancid very quickly. So now, how do vegetable oils have a shelf life of 2 years when a natural vegetable oil, when natural soybean oil will go rancid in just a matter of days? And that's the heart of the problem, because commercial vegetable oil must be converted and modified in ways for it to achieve the necessary shelf life. And it's those modifications. So it's not that the oil per se is bad, but it's how the oil is modified that makes commercial vegetable oil disastrous for health and makes it a core driver of many chronic disease states. One way it is modified or preserved is by hydrogenation. So the natural vegetable oil is put into a vat where hydrogen is added in the presence of heat and some other catalyst, and it creates trans fats. And trans fats are disastrous for health because they are a synthetic fatty acid. It's totally unnatural. And your body still utilizes it because you are what you eat. Those trans fatty acids are incorporated into your cell membranes where they disrupt the activity of cells in your body. And it's behind, or it's linked to many disease conditions. So vegetable oils are preserved by trans fats. Now these oil companies are very disingenuous because on their label they put no trans fats and they broadcast it and proclaim it, but in fact, central to the product itself, for it to have the necessary shelf life, there must be a degree of hydrogenation or a degree of trans fats. So that's one way in which these things damage health. Another important thing is that because these oils go rancid fairly quickly, they add some chemicals to retard that process. So they add synthetic antioxidants, because what makes something go rancid is an oxidant. So they add a synthetic antioxidant to neutralize some of those processes that will damage the vegetable oil. One synthetic antioxidant is called BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene. Even as that long and fancy name suggests, it's a harmful chemical in the body, and it's genotoxic, that is, it damages DNA just due to its high reactivity. And it damages a lot of other things, because for something to damage DNA, it likely also damages proteins, damages fats and cholesterol, damages carbohydrate structures in the body. So it's just, you know, highly reactive and damages several things in the body. That's another way in which vegetable oils impact health. But P, do you have anything to say so far?
Because this kind of thing, gotta do this stew, everything. After you don't chop finish, you see your body go fine.
Your body go fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody don't see you say, this might don't chop well.
You don't chop well.
Yes.
If you dey chop this oil, you go dey fresh.
You go fresh.
This thing dey fresh body.
You go fresh. So.
Okay. Another way in which vegetable oils are not good for health is the deodorization, because rancidity is a problem in oils because it creates an offensive odor and creates an offensive taste. So these highly unstable oils, because that's the problem, the base oil, the either soybean or corn oil, goes rancid very quickly and can develop a bad smell or a bad taste. So they stop that by deodorizing it, and they do that with high temperature, steam, and other fancy chemistries. So it's all these processes that the oil must go through to, you know, to be able to be stored for months and years and to have a consistent taste, you know, even though it's fairly bland, but to be consistently bland over that period. It's all those modifications and transformations that make this oil quite toxic. So another thing is in the production process itself, because extracting oil from soybean requires some fancy chemicals, and one of them is called a hexane, which is a solvent. So for example, now you take soybeans and you mash it up. So you have this kind of slurry, this soybean mash, where the oil is mixed up with other things, both the proteins, the starch, the fibers, and everything. So in order to extract the oil, they add a solvent, this hexane I'm talking about. Then they now have this solvent oil mixture. Then they now separate the solvent from the oil. Then you now finally have the oil. But some of the residues of that solvent is still carried in the oil. Even if it's a very low proportion, because of its high toxicity, it damages the body. So now, what is this solvent, hexane? Another term for hexane is food-grade gasoline. Food-grade gasoline. Now, that says a lot, because that is so pathological, because there is no instance in which gasoline is permissible or is beneficial or has any place in the human diet or in physiology or in any animal's biology. But yet, the nature of our system, these things are permissible. So they use food-grade gasoline to extract oil, and some of that food-grade gasoline ends up in your vegetable oil. So in this vegetable oil, there are minute amounts of food-grade gasoline, but still sufficient to wreak havoc in the body. Another way in which these highly liquid vegetable oils are problematic for health is because in the body there are many fats. Fats are hugely important. Just consider, for example, the construction of cell membranes, which is, you know, the basic compartment in the body. So you have this lipid membrane composed of fat and cholesterol. So fat is hugely important at the most fundamental level. Within the cell, you have other organelles, the nucleus, mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, you know, the several organelles that still utilize fat. So fat is everywhere in biology, hugely important. Now the body is able to make many types of fat, but certain types the body is not able to make. And one of these are omega-6 fatty acids, which you get a lot from vegetable oil. Then another one is omega-3 fatty acids. Now in the popular media, omega-3 fatty acids have been so popularized, and we have omega-3 acid supplement, right? Because it's an essential fatty acid, which we tend not to get too much in our modern, highly processed food diet. Now, with vegetable oils coming into the scene and replacing traditional fats like palm oil, animal fat, coconut oil, palm kernel oil, being substituted for this vegetable oil. Now, in the body, we need near equal amounts of these omega-3s and omega-6s, but because of vegetable oil consumption, we get a lot of omega-6 fatty acids. And that becomes a problem because these omega-6 fatty acids tend the body towards chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is at the root of so many chronic disease states. So it's how vegetable oils, which are really quite unnatural and synthetic, have displaced a lot of other types of essential fats, because you get essential fat, because you get like omega-3s from animal fats, you get it from organ meats, you get it from natural butter, many ancestral foods. But because these ancestral foods have been displaced by these oil seeds, by this highly liquid vegetable oils, we now have far too much omega-6 fatty acids in the diet, and that's a problem as well. So P, one thing I want you to understand, you say that palm oil, that red oil, that one are the highest oil we get for this Nigeria.
Yes.
And it dey good, make person they take that oil, they cook.
Yes.
Even more than this time.
Yes.
You understand? P, if you take oil, fry something, when you fry and finish, that oil you go still keep am abi.
Yes.
Use and fry another thing. But as you use the oil, you get point where you go reach, that oil go down condemn.
You don't condemn.
How the thing will be when the thing don't condemn?
You don't black.
You don't black.
Yes.
And the thing go they smell. And the thing where you take and fry itself, you no go sweet again. You go get taste.
Yes.
Reusing cooking oils are another way in which we amplify the negative health effects of vegetable oils. So already we're talking about a frankenfood, right? These chemically modified contraptions, that's what vegetable oil is. Disastrous for health. But then when you reuse it, you fry something, you maybe filter out the particles, and then you store the oil, reuse it again, filter, store, reuse again. That recycling of oil amplifies the negative health effects of oil, because when you heat oil to frying temperatures are possibly between 250 to 350 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure exactly, but at these temperatures, the fatty acids in oil are converted into highly reactive chemicals called hydroxynonenal, or more broadly, highly reactive aldehydes, of which this HNE, hydroxynonenal, is just one of them. And this hydroxynonenal is a major driver of heart disease, just because of the way it destroys the sensitive lining of your arteries, and it leads to plaque formation that clogs up your arteries. So in the popular media, cholesterol is demonized because it's said to cause heart disease. So foods advertise the fact that they contain no cholesterol. Like these vegetable oils, especially in the Nigerian environment, they're always like, no cholesterol, which is just nonsensical because you only get cholesterol from animal foods. But nonetheless, this cholesterol that even the body makes is so essential to health, right? Because it's a part of all cell membranes, it's the raw material for many hormones, it's the raw material for vitamin D, and so on and so forth. But they demonize that which is essential, but then overlook that which is truly disastrous, which is like HNEs and reusing cooking oil. Reusing cooking oil is like the ticking time bomb in many kitchens, because as you reuse this oil, the concentration of HNEs increase, and these HNEs destroy any organ in the body, right? Because these highly reactive molecules are not discriminatory, right? Because it would be disingenuous to say, oh, HNEs are bad for your heart, or they're bad for your brain. They're bad for each and every cell in your body. They're bad for each and every biomolecule in your body, because reactivity means that they interact, and in many cases destabilize any molecule they come in contact with. So it's full spectrum damage. to all organs, and it's indiscriminate and it's continuous and ongoing as long as we consume these sorts of food. So HNE is 100, cholesterol is not even bad at all, saturated fat is not bad at all. It's stuff like this that's truly bad for the body. These toxic byproducts that come from reheating oils several times. And for example, when you reheat the oil several times, it starts to smoke, and that smoking is another powerful indication of the high concentration of these highly toxic metabolites. So P, it's always good to go back to the roots and use the natural one.
Yes.
The red oil where we all sabi, where we say the people of old, grandmama them, they use. Now waiting they talk. All these things now we go something. Now white man bring all this thing.
Yes.
And the thing they cause wahala for body.
Yes.
Alright. P, any other thing you want to talk?
This the palm oil for my side. Because it's good for any soup now somebody will
yes.
That one is good pass this one. This one, that one. No hard. Anything to go good. Put down that one, you go good. That one go good for your body.
Good.
Yes.
That's
but
it.
no chop, no put that one. That soup no go sweet.
No go sweet.
Yes.
So there you have it. Ancestral diets all the way. Thank you so much for your time.